one and all to the K.O.E. Nation. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., here to give you the 5 bottles of whiskey that you need roundup. This has been something that's been going around on the internet as of late. Started off on Reddit, and it's just taken off like brush fire. And that brush fire has made its way here to the K.O.E. Nation. So in an attempt to put it out, I will give you, the K.O.E. Nation, my adoring fans, the 5 bourbons that you need. Now, I was not the person that started this. I'm sorry. To me, it's like, 5 bourbons? What backwards heathens? But if we have to limit ourselves to 5, this is how I would do it, folks. So, let's get started with this bourbon roundup of the 5 bourbons that you need. And the categories are the daily drinker, the impress your guests, the cheap mixer, or for guests that just wouldn't really appreciate good whiskey anyway, so this is what you pour them, the Friday night specialty pour, and then something that you save back for very special occasions. So without further ado, let's start off with the cheap mixer. Now, to me, this is not one that's cheap, but it is, well, I won't call it cheap. It's inexpensive relatively, but it is an excellent mixer. It just goes well in any cocktail, and that is Woodford Reserve. Just standard, good old Woodford Reserve. Excellent, excellent mixing whiskey. It's an excellent cocktail. I haven't found a cocktail that it doesn't work in yet. I haven't gone so far as to mix it with like multiple fruit juices and such, but any standard whiskey cocktail, you really can't go wrong with Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45.2 rather, alcohol by volume. And I got this $3.75 for, gosh, I think around 17 bucks. So not bad for an excellent, excellent whiskey. But moving on from the mixer, it's what I would consider the peak daily drinker for bourbon. It's a fairly new release, but it's one that me and my family has endorsed thoroughly, and it's one that isn't going to break the bank, but you're going to feel like you're drinking high class here, and that is Maker's Mark 101. You can get this for around $35 a bottle, and it's just a great, I've had a rough Thursday, and I need me a dram. As you can see, this bottle is still sealed. It's because we've gone through quite a few bottles of this with the family of Extreme as of late. So this one is thoroughly endorsed by my brothers, my father, just very highly regarded bourbon. Maker's Mark 101, cannot recommend that enough. In fact, I would say that this is one of your better compromise bourbons. You don't have to break the bank, but you do have something very special there to definitely check out. Now we move on to my Friday pour, one that I really enjoy, and one that is, as of right now, the bourbon of Extreme, Colonel E.H. Taylor. Amazing. And as you can see, I have been thoroughly enjoying this, but worry not, I have another bottle in stow just in case I don't have enough to get through the bourbon tournament, which keep your eyes on the space for that, folks. But yes, Colonel E.H. Taylor is when I have had a rough week and it's Friday and I just need a good dram. This is what I'm going to turn to. 100 proof, excellent stuff, if you can find it. If you can find it. That's the big problem with Colonel and anything from Buffalo Trace, really, but there's a reason that it's sought after, because it's good. And unfortunately, get used to hearing that for the rest of this video. So now we move on to when guests are over and you want to impress those guests. And these are guests that you know will actually appreciate the whiskey you're pouring, so you're not just pouring them something, you know, cheaper. But when I want to really impress the guests, of course, the big horse comes out. Blanton's. It's one that whenever you want to impress, you pull that out. Even people who aren't all that familiar with bourbon whiskey will at least be interested, like, oh wow, look at the bottle, like, and yeah, they'll want to see the cork. That's what I like about this particular barrel. They're single barrel, so they can be a touch. There's a bit variant. This one was barrel 450 from 3/10/2020 was when it was dumped. And this one is just caramel in a glass, caramel in a glass for our viewers across the pond. But yeah, excellent stuff. And this is the bourbon for when I want to impress my guests. And then one that I saved back for a special occasion. Well, before I get to that, for the impress your guest whiskeys, this one, I picked this one up for $61 retail. I don't know what it's going for on the secondary market because I just happen to be lucky enough that there's a store that occasionally gets Blanton's. And so I stocked up, so I got 3 bottles, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to go crazy in the secondary market. So, and yes, don't worry, folks. I do actually leave a few bottles when I buy some. So, but yes, excellent stuff. This was the kind of start of the single barrel craze. And what got me into this was not the single barrel or the bourbon craze, just my mother and I were going through some of my grandmother's stuff, and we found a couple of little sample bottles, the 50 milliliter sample bottles of Blanton's. And apparently, from what we gathered from some secondhand accounts, she rather enjoyed this stuff. So I had to find it after that. And it's good stuff. My grandmother also, she loved all of these because the only thing she would ever order to drink was a bourbon press. 3rd bourbon, 3rd water, 3rd 7-Up on ice. She was raised throughout World War II, so if you wanted to party and drink during World War II, you drank bourbon or you probably didn't drink a whole lot. Wasn't a lot, there wasn't as common of beer distribution as there is now, and bourbon could hold for a long time, and it's not like there was a lot of Scotch whiskey coming across the Atlantic during the Second World War, so that all tracks. Now, last but certainly not least, special occasions. This is one that I have pulled out for just special occasions. And for those special occasions, it can be none other than Weller's Antique 107. Excellent, excellent bourbon. It actually lives up to its secondary reputation. The other Wellers, I'm not sure of, but this one definitely lives up to its reputation, and for very special occasions, somber occasions, happy occasions, this is one that I've turned to. So I must say, yeah, I mean, I'll probably, if this is still around, I'll probably polish this bottle off Christmas of this year, just because that's the kind of special occasion bottle that I see this as. So, folks, these are, if you could only have 5 bourbons. I know, my goodness. These are the 5 that I would recommend, folks. I know it's a little Buffalo Trace heavy. I get it, but good is good, folks. I mean, we can't dispute or deny these bottles sell like they do for a reason. But I'm also trying to throw some attention over here to Maker's Mark 101, truly an ascendant whiskey that's being overlooked. And yes, it's comparable with any whiskey that's here on the table. So I would implore you to take a look at this. And just the best cocktail whiskey you could ever hope for. So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, this has been my picks for the 5 bourbons you need. Keep your eyes on this space, folks. Plenty more to come. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., signing off and handing it off. Be sure to like, share, subscribe right here so you can keep up with all your K.O.E. content. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you around, folks.